So how do I create an energy deficit and still hold on to an anabolic state and create muscle protein synthesis? That's what we're going to talk about when it comes to the strength training circuits. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, if you're looking to maximize your efforts in the gym, shorten your workouts, and improve your body composition, whether it's losing fat, building muscle, or doing them at the same exact time, this video is for you. If you know anything about body recomposition, you understand that it's very difficult to do, especially for those who are more on the advanced side. This means anyone who has a higher training age than 2 or more years. So if you've been doing resistance training, if you've been doing any type of straight up weightlifting for 2+ years in a solid program, not just going out doing random stuff, a solid program, it's going to be harder for you to recomp at the same time than it is going to be for the beginner. The beginner has it a lot easier, but in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to fast track it for both of you. So in order to first get into the strength training methodologies that we do, we have to talk about the metabolic states that we need to be in, the metabolic processes that happen in order for us to lose fat and build muscle. This is going to give you a good understanding of how to apply this to your own programming. So when we want to burn fat, we need to be in a catabolic state. We need to be in a state where, this is a fancy way of saying we need to be able to have our body break down bigger molecules into smaller ones. We need to be able to do this by creating an energy imbalance, an energy deficit. We can do this in one of 2 ways. The first way I create an energy deficit is by working out harder, working out more. So if I want to eat 2,000 calories a day, I have all my life processes, I need to burn more than 2,000 calories a day, what I'm taking in. So if I'm in a surplus, I need to make sure I burn more than that. The other way to do it is if I'm only going to work out and exercise, or my life makes me burn 2,000, I want to take in 1,500. Both of these create an energy deficit. Okay, so that is how we get a fat loss environment. In order to be in a muscle building environment, we need an anabolic environment. We need to be in a surplus of protein, right? So in order for us to build muscle, it's the difference between muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown. I'll give it to you like this. Let's say you're on a beach building a sandcastle and the waves come up and wash it off. When the waves come up and wash away some of that sand, breaking down your sand, that's muscle protein breakdown. That is the catabolic state. When you add more sand more quickly, then the waves can come up and wash off and you start to get this nice little castle. That is our anabolic state. That's muscle protein synthesis. We want to foster that environment in order to build muscle. So you can see how it's pretty tough for people, especially advanced people, to be in those 2 states at the same time. So how do I create an energy deficit and still hold on to an anabolic state and create muscle protein synthesis? That's what we're going to talk about when it comes to the strength training circuits. So 3 types of circuits we're going to talk about are EDT, heavy circuits, and lactic interval variations. In these 3 different circuits, I'm going to tell you how to actually implement them into your program. We'll start with escalating density training. That's EDT. So our EDT is a method of going back and forth between 2 major compound exercises to accumulate volume. And when we accumulate that volume, we're going to be able to work over time and stimulate an overload onto our muscles. Okay, so that is going to do what? Help us with our muscle protein synthesis. In the back and forth method of this, we're going to be timed. We're going to be now getting an aerobic type stimuli, right? So aerobic type stimulus, which is going to now help us burn more calories. So we're knocking out 2 in 1. But how did I implement this? Okay, so a typical EDT, usually people do like 1 to 3 reps of these heavy compound movements, and they go back and forth for like 10-15 minutes. What I did was I took 2 movements and I supersetted them, same, but I put it up to 5 to 10 reps with a little bit higher RPE. So if I was going between a trap bar deadlift and a let's go bent over row, I was going between those 2. It was an RPE of about 7 but I was flying through it on a 20-minute to 30-minute circuit, right? And I would sometimes switch up the exercises, it depends. But when you do this, you get a great aerobic effect, just constant moving, resistance overload of the body, and then it obviously gives you that overload that stimulates that muscle protein synthesis. How do I want to do it? I want to do it the bulk or back end of my workout after I do some prep. So I definitely suggest you always, when you come in, get some prep in, select anything inside your prep that's going to, one, work on your weaknesses, because that's most important, and then prepare you for the lifts after. Your lifts can be upper body, lower body, or they can be what I call a compound set with contrasting muscle groups. That would be something like a bent over row and a bench press. That's for upper body, and you can go back and forth. Again, it's upper body, so it's going to be tough, or you can do a lower body where you're doing something like a squat and a deadlift. Now, in these situations, I'm going to pull back the intensity. So I'm going to pull back the intensity and probably drop the volume. Probably not do any more than 3 reps on these, right? So this way I'll do a traditional EDT volume and intensity, but it's a little bit non-traditional with going back and forth between the same muscle group. Okay, so that's how I would do EDT. Then we'll flip over to heavy circuits. In my heavy circuits, how would I use them? I would use these heavy circuits with 3 exercises, okay? Probably no more than 3, just make it easy. Make the exercises easy to transition between, and make them compound movements, but accessory type movements. So for instance, instead of doing a full deadlift, you'll do something like an RDL, or you can even do single leg, but I like to do bilateral for these just because it's gonna create a little bit more of demand, and you can load it up a little bit more. Then you're gonna do something like a push-up. You can do an inverted row or pull-up if they're easy for you, right? And we wanna do anywhere between 3 to 10 reps. Again, we wanna stay a little bit more on that heavier RPE side. Now, we're not choosing a 10 rep failure weight. If you choose a 10 rep failure rate, you're probably gonna be doing more like a 7 or 6 rep thing, right? Again, RPE 7, maybe 8 if we want that. But we're gonna put a time on the clock and we're gonna go straight through. I would do these heavy circuits after I hit a main stimulus on my workout. So let's say, for instance, I walk in and my workout for the day is gonna be a strength day. Okay, I will do a lower body strength movement, and then I would go a circuit at the end for maybe like 20 minutes, and I would do accessories that mostly support the strength movement. So let's say, for instance, I did a squat, I would do a lower body hinge because I did a squatting pattern, so now I'm gonna do a hinge pattern, and now I have a push and a pull that I need to do for upper body. My pull is gonna be in that same sagittal plane that the squat is in, so I'll do a pull-up, and then I'll do a push-up as my push. No science to that, just exercises that I like and they're easy to transition between. Keep it honest with you, okay? So that's how I would do it, and that's how I implement into it. Again, I would do rounds of these, so 10, 15, 20 minutes. Just go for rounds. If you want to do 3 reps of each, if you want to do 5 reps of each, if you want to, be funny and do 3, 5, 7 reps, whatever you want to do, you can do that. Lastly, we're going to talk about lactic interval training. Okay, so not your typical quote HIIT. We're going to take elements of a steady state aerobic and elements of a lactic threshold training, and we're going to combine them. So I'm going to go for 20 to 30 minutes after I do my prep. I go for 20 to 30 minutes of work time. And I'm gonna take 3 exercises that are a little higher in intensity, in which if I were to do 25 to 35 seconds of these, if this exercise, I would probably be gassed. And I'm going to drop it to about a 15 to 20 second go. Give me a little bit of gas left in the tank. And my only rest is going to be my transition between exercise and exercise. Let's say, for instance, I use a sled, a jump rope, and an air bike. It's actually a workout that I did. I'm going to either push the sled for time or distance, however long it's going to take me to get there. And then I'm going to jump rope for X amount of time. Then I'm going to bike for X amount of time. In that time frame, I'm just going to cycle and repeat. What this does is it allows for a higher level of energy expenditure. It creates that EPOC, that post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is actually going to help me fuel fat burn for later in the day. And because I'm a little bit crazy, I use my BFR cuffs with these, and I get the metabolites that build up inside the muscle. So one of the ways that we can build muscle is through metabolite buildup in our blood, and in our muscle, in our cells. So when I'm doing this, I am actually kind of circumventing certain stimulus that my body needs in order to build muscle while doing cardio. Now, this may just be enough to fend off muscle protein breakdown, but if nothing else, that is what helps. Because remember, from the beginning of the video, the difference between muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown is how you're going to put on. So if I can minimize muscle protein breakdown while I'm doing my cardio circuits, my strength circuits, then I am more likely to at very least maintain muscle while I'm losing fat. In this sense, I am getting enough overload in the weights that I'm choosing for these exercises to actually now stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And then the diet comes after that. So I hope this video helps you. I hope that you can take these, implement them into your own programming, EDT, heavy circuits, and lactic intervals into your programming so that you can get the body that you always wanted, build that athletic physique like you like. Keep it locked. And as always, I worked with you from yesterday, so you can look back and see how far you come, get better one day, one rep at a time.